I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Dominik Ehrenberg. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful morning? Well, I'm getting tied up here because of your time, Dominik. Hey, Dominik, how are you going? It's a great pleasure to connect with you.
Yes, you too. I'm fine. I'm not that tired yet, actually, even though it's 2 a.m., but everything's good. And it's a public holiday tomorrow, so I'm quite relaxed.
Well, that's amazing. Hey, I appreciate it tremendously. Amazing audience. This just speaks to the podcaster and the way we show up for each other. Family, if you would. But Dominik, please do tell us. I mean, I kind of let the cat out of the bag, right? But which of your talents is responsible for us connecting?
Well, I would suppose it's a talent for replying to LinkedIn mails.
Yeah, that's fair. That is definitely fair. So, who did you learn the skill of replying to your mails from?
That is quite a good question. So, no idea. Probably somewhere in school when I started writing letters to people.
You know, I think so. So you're definitely the Scrum professional, right?
Yes. Correct.
So did you put that? Is it like a process that you go by, like getting these mails and then responding to them?
More or less. I think the most important part was finding out if someone just emails you because he searched for some keywords, or if there's someone mailing to you and has a really honest request.
Yeah. It's and I mean it's another S word, right? Spam.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. The good old recruiter spam is the best one.
Yeah, it's the one thing, but it's the sacrifice I need to make. It's like, okay, I need to tuck my tail between my legs and do this, right? Because it's an honest request, and I really believe it's something that would bring value to the world.
Yes, and at least I mean, you looked up. I mean, you've seen that I'm doing podcasts, and that's a lot more than most of the usual recruiters do, because they only see like, oh, I'm just doing some keyword search and just spam out my mail, and the mail doesn't even have anything to do with what I do. Or it's something like, hey, would you like to have this great new opportunity, even though I just switched my position.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Hey, well, I do appreciate what you're doing. Please do tell us about your podcast and what you definitely put up there, please.
So the main podcast I'm doing is a German language podcast about Scrum, and it's right now more or less the only German podcast about Scrum which is released frequently. And because there are a lot of English podcasts, and we decided like, hey, why not do it in German? And it's we do this quite a lot, and we also go on conferences and record podcasts there with people doing it live, and it's quite fun. That's the one podcast, and the other podcast I'm doing is a gaming podcast.
Sounds like fun. So the gaming podcast is for what platform?
The site is called Zockwork Orange.
Right.
So that's a small wordplay with clockwork and the German, or one German word for gaming, which is zocken. So that's why it's called Zockwork Orange.
Okay, yeah. And that's spelled Z-O-C-K, work orange,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty
interesting. It is also in German.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. Like, I was talking to one lady who does Spanish translation, and I think it's a good idea to niche down to languages. It definitely helps. I think it's a good idea. Well, tell me, my friend, Scrum is fascinating. I remember one friend introducing it to me, and it was an audiobook, right? So it was like 6 CDs. I think he put it on, right? He said, you need to listen to this. And I did apply it. I'm on a sprint right now, right? So I'm on a 3-month sprint, if you would, to have 800 conversations. Definitely not applying the maximum principles of what Scrum is, but would you break that down for our amazing audience, please?
So the basic idea is not doing things in large intervals, like 3 months, for example, but doing especially software development, because that's where most of this comes from, in as small iterations as possible. So you would like to have feedback as fast as possible, because if you work together with a customer, for example, you would just like to know, is the customer satisfied? Is the product going in a direction the customer would like to have it, or would the customer like to change something, or maybe do they see that things do not turn out the way they imagined it would? So what you're trying to do is, just by using these small iterations, is that you want to create a better product by working together.
Yeah. Slack is a big thing with that, right? Like, do you use Slack with it as well? The program Slack, the online communication program? No?
That always depends on the team.
Okay.
And on the company, because there are some companies that don't allow using Slack, but actually we do have a Slack channel for our podcast.
Sweet. Hey, this is amazing. Hey, I'm just having fun with this conversation. Amazing audience. Dominik is an intellectual individual. I can definitely feel that. Well, Dominik, hey, let's not beat around the bush a bit. Let me ask you, what's one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and I think since I'm not doing podcasts that long, because it's only been 1 year so far, I think one thing I've done consistently over the last 3 years is running, even though I haven't done it as much as before in the last year or so.
Okay, how does that make you feel, running?
Relaxed, more or less, because it's I'm able to free my mind when running. And while running, it's not that relaxed, but it's the feeling that's there afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's and it's kind of, since in my daytime job I'm mostly sitting, it's also very it's a good counterpart for that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I feel your pain with the sitting. I always jokingly say that after having 1,001 conversations, I needed to do butt surgery, right? Because of the sitting. Yeah. I mean, saying that though, and just speaking of the challenges that go with what you do, why will you continue to repeat the skill nevertheless?
I think mostly really because of how it makes me feel. I think it's a little bit hard sometimes to actually really go running, but every time I do it, I feel really good afterwards, because of the movement I'm having, because of the ability to let my thoughts float free. And it's really, really helpful. It sounds a little bit cheesy and it sounds a little bit spiritual, but it's really good for the mind and good for the body.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, amazing audience, we are live with Dominik Ehrenberg, right? That's the English to the German. I'm not even sure if it's right, so accurate, but you are going to need to help me with the name of the podcast, right, Dominik? So I could definitely get kaput, right?
Yes.
You do the first part. So tell us the name.
Yes, the podcast is called Mein Scrum ist kaputt, and the translation would be something like "My Scrum is kaputt."
There we go.
Or "My Scrum is broken," if you don't want to use the word kaputt. But
yeah, that's wonderful. Hey, well, Dominik, let's switch gears for a moment now, and let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Dominik, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is from kindergarten. I had a sandwich with me. And I had this sandwich in some kind of messenger bag, and I had my and I was like, oh look, I can spin this messenger bag around, and I was spinning this messenger bag around, and at some point someone told me, hey, your sandwich is laying at the other end of the room. It's lying at the other end of the room, because obviously I didn't close my messenger bag, and for some reason it flew out of this messenger bag.
Intriguing. How old do you think you were in kindergarten?
Must have been 5 years old, 6 years old.
Wow. Why do you think this
Something
memory
like
is so
that.
clear, Dominic?
I have absolutely no idea, because it doesn't really have anything with what it doesn't have anything to do with what I actually do.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
no idea. Really.
Interesting. Hey, well, let me say, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Yes.
I love the idea of awareness, and from that age, right? It's so possible to focus on the goal, even with the Scrum method, right? It definitely helps you. It's like a reminder of why you're doing what you're doing, because we could get lost in the thing that fascinates us, right? Even as developers. So I'm seeing you spinning this bag and you're fascinated by it, but then you lose your sandwich, which is the purpose of the thing. And the fact that you are delving into what now helps you to keep track of the purpose of the thing and not lose the purpose of the thing, just like losing the sandwich, as well as helping others not to lose their sandwich while they're spinning the bag, right? It's fascinating how those things connect for me.
Yeah, I could read it like that. I see the point. Yeah.
All right, Dominic, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
So I couldn't really, when I read the question, I couldn't really tell. So what I did was I looked up all this or all the top songs from 1996, and my favorite song was probably Children by Robert Miles, but I'm not 100% sure about that, because it could have been also some other Eurodance song, which was quite huge back then, so might have been Macarena as well. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, but there's always a way to connect it, right? Like I could see you spinning just the way your bag was spinning, right? Doing Macarena. Yeah, like the hand movement, like I'm doing it while I'm speaking.
Well, with Robert Miles' Children, you could even do the connection with spinning.
Oh, really?
Because I've not so much anymore, but I've been DJing a lot, and I've been playing trance. And Robert Miles' Children is one of the trance tracks. So spinning, Robert Miles, DJing.
Yeah. So
I think you're right. It's all connected.
It's all connected, right? But hey, I could definitely drop the mic now, because you could take this, right? You're good. You're doing it. That's wonderful. Well, Dominic, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Dominic?
Yes.
Dominic, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, but it always depends on the skills we're talking about.
Yeah. That's cool. Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
I can't answer this with yes or no.
All right.
Because I haven't decided for myself.
All right. Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Also no, because I usually don't watch TV.
Wow. What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Well, since my work day is 8 hours a day, yes.
Yeah. Hey, Dominic, after having 1,001 conversations, so this is the point when I say I had to do butt surgery, right? No, I discovered this workbook. I created this workbook. The name of it is called Yours. It stands for Your Own Unique Real Self. And my idea is that it will connect you once you answer questions to your own unique real statement, which are aligned to your mission. If you had to share with us, Dominic, your own unique real statement, what would you say that is?
Probably something like don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Wow, deep guy. Wow. All right.
Well, this is one of my main statements I use when working as a Scrum Master.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's easier to do things and clarify them afterwards.
It was wonderful. Love it. Hey, Dominik, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yes. What I would like to share is find out what you really like doing and do it, because this can really, really broaden your day.
Yeah. Even if the sandwich leaves the bag sometimes, you could always ask for forgiveness, right? But hey, do the thing, right? Spin the bag. Love it. Dominik Ehrenberg. Hey, this was a great pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.